All right, so we get rid of the default sphere, and we're going to get the tube tool. I'm going to use the curve, and this is just an easy way to make some pretty custom shapes really quick. And you could do something similar with what I'm doing with the cone, but this way you can twist it. I really like the spline tool because you can control your shapes really quickly and very easily. And if you're wanting to flatten them out, you can just mask them and squeeze them down a little bit. It's pretty easy. So anyway, what I want to do is make a couple little shapes here and demonstrate how to make them. I had a subscriber ask me about how to do a couple shapes in particular for a character he's trying to model, and I figured this would probably be the easiest way to do this. So anyway, we're going to go through a few of these. I'm going to do this about 10 minutes or so, talking off and on, and then I'm just going to speed it up for the rest of the video, I think, because I'm having a little bit of a rough time with my voice today. So you can see there, I'm going through and changing the topology and the subdivisions, and I'm doing that just to smooth it out and take all the rough edges off. So we're trying to make kind of a smooth cartoon character. All right, using the lasso tool, kind of knock the nub off the bottom there. It's hard to get rid of those and keep your shape with the tube tool, but I'm just going to remesh down there and use the flatten brush and the smooth tool, and that's plenty for this. It doesn't have to be perfect. And remember, these things are tiny anyway, unless you want them absolutely perfect. And he does, I think, in the end, want to go ahead and print these. Just kind of finishing up the smoothing. Now you see me snap to view, which that was because I was kind of looking at the reference that he'd sent me. And that's the reason I never did actually put this to the center of the world. I probably should have. It would have made everything a lot easier later, because I had to fight with the gizmo tool a lot because they're all off center and in weird positions. All right, so this part is the body, and it's obviously not to size, and I'll size the head down a little bit because it's bigger than I wanted, but this is basically, like a yellow squash shape for the body. It's kind of a typical, squash or bean shape. And I kind of went with a squash shape, but it'd be pretty easy to do the bean too instead. So you can do something similar with this using the lathe tool, but the tube tool makes it a little bit easier because you can, you put those little twists into it, where with the lathe tool, it's going to come out, equal on both sides off of center, just like a regular lathe. So kind of play with this a little bit, and I'll do the same thing. I'll bring the topology up quite a ways with the topology menu, and then just right here, you can see there I'm bringing the topology up. Just helps smooth everything down, and like you can see there, you just don't want to, unless you're planning on it, you don't want to go so far that you're changing the shape itself. So then using the trim tool again, I'll cut off both ends. And here I'm using the trim tool again with a lasso, and I probably could have done that bottom a little bit different, but it's not that big a deal, just to smooth it off a little. So this pretty easy to do, same thing. So let's kind of go through all that again. If you guys are liking what you're seeing here, please like and subscribe, and you can go check out my channel even, because I have a lot of other videos that are much shorter format than this one. This is a longer one, but I have a lot of them that are a lot shorter. They're showing you all kinds of different tricks and things you can do with Nomad. And it's kind of working my way around. I mean, you could make this shape with a couple spheres and a cylinder, but then you got to, merge them and then smooth them, and you're never going to have those like super clean lines. I mean, you can, but sometimes it's just easier to do the tube tools like this. That's the awesome thing with Nomad. There's so many different ways to make things happen and to get the same results with different means. So here, I'll kind of size the two together, the head and the body, kind of get them more in proportion like I want. And then I'm going to end up masking the body and stretching it. And the first time I do it, I screw up because I didn't adjust the gizmo and it's all wonky. So I'll go back and fix it, or tap back, and then I'll do it right the second time. So here we go. Do a masking, and you can see there the one, I didn't soften the mask, so it's really hard. And two, you can see where the gizmo was all weird. So haven't really noticed it yet. So I grabbed the smooth tool. Could see something was a little weird, but I hadn't turned it yet. And here you see I've got it turned, and I'm like, nope, that's not what I wanted. So tap it back and just line it up. Now to line the gizmo up, you'll see here, it's way off, especially when you get to the bottom where you can see it. So I'm making sure that it's on first stab, and kind of line it up where you want, where it's right. It doesn't have to be perfect, just closer than what it is, which is like at a 45 degree right now, pretty close to it. So you just hit the pivot on the lock and unlock it there. And it's weird, it used to show unlock, now it's just marked as a pivot, so don't confuse that. And just stretch it out a little bit. So there's a lot of things you do with the masking, in conjunction with the tube tools, because I know a lot of people complain that the tube tools aren't square, or they're not where you can kind of flatten them out, but you can. It's just a little extra work. As you can see here, just a little extra something you got to do. All right, so that's kind of it. I just kind of wanted a squash body, and then I'm going to end up using the masking tool and stretch out the top and move it a little bit, kind of like shoulders, just a little bit, not much, just to give it a little more dimension and a little more shape. And use the gizmo, shrink the head, and kind of bring it down into size. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do like a crazy like chicken neck looking thing, or turkey neck between the two. With all the squid stuff going on, I thought that'd be kind of fun. So that's what I ended up doing here. Alright, so here I've got it sped up, and you can just kind of see what I'm doing, just kind of clean it up a little bit. And I decided to leave a little bit of the, the wrinkles and things that come along with using the masking tool, some of it anyway. It didn't have to be perfect. I thought it'd be kind of fun to leave it a little bit, and it's not like it would be truly wrinkled with something being stretched like that, but it gives it a little something anyway. And there's another one for the neck, and it goes in there pretty good. And like I said, the cool thing about these, you can twist and tweak and bend and change sizes, and it's just nice because you can do a lot of things with these. And you do a little bit of masking like I did with the body, and you can completely change something into a whole different shape and world. And it is cool because you can hollow those out too. And if you guys haven't played with them much, the tubes you can close them and hollow them out. So pretty nice. And I don't use the spline much. I don't know if I've actually used the splines where anybody can see them, but the splines are kind of cool. It's just instead of dragging the dots, you can drag the splines out above and the object some, and it's a little bit smoother curve, but I normally don't use them. These are fine. All right, so here you can see starting to get a little more, trying to get a little more organized. Especially when everything's basically a tube, you don't want to be lost trying to find everything. So I decided to be kind of cool to do the tripod, for 3 of them. So three feet, and kind of tweak them all just a little bit different. I didn't get too crazy about changing them all completely, and I didn't do the little sucker feet, suction cup feet any different, but I just thought that was kind of fun to do. All right, and then here I decided I'd give the, kind of a chest and some shoulders, or shoulder blades anyway, kinda. And you can see there I didn't smooth everything out, just kind of like there's a little dimension to its back, because you're not going to see the chest much. You're going to be focused on the head. This isn't really a fully fleshed out character, just something to do. And like I said, it was mostly so I could show that subscriber how to do a couple shapes pretty easy that he was looking for specifically. So yeah, if you guys are ever wanting something or to know how to do something, just throw it in the comments. I may not get to it immediately, but within a few days I should be able to do a video for you if you'd like, for something in particular, if you're looking for something. But you can see there how quickly I can make the arms and make some little tentacle fingers. And for whatever reason, I did do not necessarily bipedal, because it's got 3 feet, but I gave him only 2 arms, but 3 fingers each. All right, so here I will do some more videos on how to organize and keep everything different for arms and legs, and to pose them all together at the same time. But it can be a little confusing on how to separate them and mirror them sometimes. I get confused myself sometimes. But you can see there I'm going through and adjusting all of the names, renaming everything. It just makes it a lot easier. And you'll see there I'm adjusting the arm, and I should have done that before I mirrored it, because then it would carry that to the other side. And I don't know if I hollow this one out just yet. I know I do end up hollowing them both out, so it's kind of like almost like a sucker with tentacles in it. Yeah, this one gets hollowed out at least. I think the other side is weighted, or I had back tapped or something. I had to do it again. Anyway. And the cool thing about this too, to think about when you're doing something, do something on both sides with tentacles or anything like this, don't validate them yet until you're done, obviously. Because here I kind of moved things around a little and kept adjusting and tweaking until they looked right for me. But you can totally copy them and send them to the other side, and that's a good thing about the tube tool too. You can keep, until you validate them, you can keep changing and squeezing and twisting and whatever you want to do. So same thing, just the other side, kind of cleaning them up and moving them around. And I decided to do 3 eyes on here, which, as you can see, once again, I was fighting the gizmos because they're all off center and off canter, and I should have really gone at least put the head at the center of the world. Just so you have at least a starting point for everything being somewhat straight, so you don't have to do this every time. And I usually do. I just didn't do it on this particular one for some reason. I just thought I would just keep going with it since I already had it set that way. It would have been a lot easier to at least have selected everything and moved everything to center. It would have been a lot easier anyway. So here, just kind of put some rings for kind of eyelids around the eyes, and a mouth. And the mouth I played with for a minute, and just really I didn't like it. I was just trying to be kind of quick and use the Taurus cloned and do something with it. And then here, that right there, I messed up because I didn't have the masking going all the way through, just on the front facing vertex only. So I fixed that, but still didn't end up liking it much. I was trying to give it just a little shape, but it wasn't what I wanted. So I ended up dumping this and just using the tube tool and closing it. So it's a nice option if you want to use it. I was really trying to salvage this. I was using the clay tool, and I just gave up on it because this isn't like something I was really wanting to sculpt. It's just more, basically just basic shapes, and using the tube tool as my sculpting elements for this. Trying to keep it kind of simple and clean, and tried it again, still didn't like it. So I did finally do the tube tool and just made a mouth. And that's where it's closed. Now using the, you can see there where if you just touch the dots and I have snapping on at the top of the screen there, it'll default to half, so you can get it to snap to the surface of whatever it's touching. So you don't have to sit there and mess with it. And I didn't mess with them all. You can see on the left side of the face there, it's a little bigger, but it won't be noticeable in a few minutes when I punch the mouth in a little bit. And I decided he needed at least one little buck tooth, make him a little silly looking. And once again, this is where you can use your masking, and you mask at an angle, it's pretty easy to make a different shape. And I've shown this technique before with teeth, but it is a very easy one to do. And once again, if this had been in the center of the world, I could have masked, a mirror, but just as easy just to slice it in half. And there I'm just going through and validating everything. It's decided it's pretty much where I want it to be, and I wanted to finish them up like this, put some little suckers on the ends. And I didn't do them all the same, I did them all a little different. And at this point I was just having fun doing a few little different odds and ends around them. I don't know if you caught that, but you'll see that little bit of orange material, and that's where the two layers of topology are trying to overlap each other. And you'll see what I mean if it happens to you when you're using something. But if you use a smooth brush, most of the time it'll pull all those squares back in place for you, and you don't have to mess with it anymore. And that was stretching a little weird on that finger, just because, or a little tentacle finger, just because I didn't remesh anything, so I just kind of left it. So it was a little stretched, but even if you printed this, it'd be so small nobody'd even notice, I don't think. So then I decided to do something kind of like Earthworm Jim, but with a tentacle. So just kind of going through, trying to decide what I was going to do, and I was like, well, I was going to just make it kind of a pointed tentacle, but then I was like, that'll be way too much like Earthworm Jim. So I ended up putting a big giant sucker on the end. So still kind of similar, but different at least. You can see on the back side there, underneath, that's what I was talking about when the topology tries to cross over each other. And you'll see here, I just keep running over it with a smooth brush, and it will eventually get rid of it. You just have to be patient. Alright, and then just putting those two together with a voxel merge and smoothing and blending them out. And I could have spent more time. This is just a quick rough sketch, but oh, and there I had messed up and started using the flattened brush with symmetry on. So yeah, had to back tap quite a few times to get away from all that and turned it off. I really wish if you had symmetry turned off, it would just stay off, but it doesn't. Sometimes you'll grab a different brush and it comes back on. So now I'm just using a big giant smooth brush and just kind of going around and cleaning things up. And I wasn't worried about fixing underneath the little legs there. I was kind of taking a look at it in the turntable, seeing how it looks. And here I'm just going to do a little bit of painting. Nothing really crazy, just kind of simple and easy, and picking some colors and giving it a little something anyway. I figured we'd go kind of pink octopus squid looking color. And I thought it'd be funny to give him his only tooth a gold tooth. It'd be kind of really silly. So you see there, I had the paint set on a texture, and I turned the texture off because I didn't want it. I just wanted kind of a flat color. And I didn't get, like I said, I did not get too crazy with making this perfect. Just so it had a little something to it. And there was, like I was saying, for some reason that one I had back tapped or something and went too far. So I just had to re-voxel merge that and get rid of that. And there I decided, hey, I could speed this up a little bit if I make the brush a little bigger. And I had some pressure setting. I should have turned the pressure, just gone to a flat pressure on the brush, but it kept like creeping up where I didn't want it to, so I had to come back and fix it. It would have been faster just to go up to my pressure setting on the brush at the top left there and turn that down, but I decided not to, I guess. All right, so here I realized I needed to do all three of those and remesh them so they were a bigger mesh. And I'm just trying to place the eyes where I wanted them. Now I'm tapping out in space on each selected one, and it flips the mask for you. And I'm just painting black when the mask flips, and then dragging outside to remove the mask, the outside of your object. Kind of the last steps of just going through and putting some spots all over it, and just nothing too crazy. I wasn't get crazy with it. I was just using masking, a different color, and just hit paint all, and then remove the mask, and done. So easy way to do some quick little paint texture on something. And then I go back and just kind of clean up the last couple little spots there. Like I said, the paint job was not perfect. I mean, that would have been, if you wanted to make it look nicer, I definitely would go through and clean that up with a softer brush instead of a hard line brush. All right, so that's it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you guys like watching these videos, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. All right, thanks.